Hello, listeners, and welcome to Roundtable 6 of the Mad Scientist podcast. I am Chris Cogswell, your host, and I am joined by...
That is the person you're just hearing is Dr. Chris Cogswell. Not just Chris Cogswell, regular citizen like you and me, but doctor. And I'm Marie Mayhew, and I have no such degree.
It was really funny in the car ride home. My mom was like, so on the car ride home from the PhD defense, my mom was like, so are you going to make people start calling you doctor?
Fuck no. Yeah, you are. No, yeah, you are, man. You go in, you get coffee, and they're like, can I have a name for that, sir? You're like, Dr. Cogswell, bitch.
I'm going to be on an airplane, and they're going to be like, is there a doctor here? Yeah, and I'm going to be like, I am here. I'm completely useless unless you need a pipe fixed. or some fluid flowed, flow diagrammed out. like that's it.
And then I'm there. I'm there for that.
Got any crystals to analyze? I hope you're not dying on this plane.
Holy smokes! But it's sort of like, what was that movie with oh come on, we've talked about it before, where they have to go up to blow up the meteor to save the world.
Oh, I think it's called. I think that is called Armageddon.
Armageddon. See.
Armageddon.
You would be the dude. You'd be the dude that they would send up there, and they'd be all like, "He doesn't look like a doctor," and then you'd be like, "It's the crystal," And
he knows it.
It's the crystal.
Oh God!
Telling you, man,
right.
Total third act stuff. All good.
Total third act stuff. This episode, we are going to talk about the average American. If there is an average American, what would they look like? What would they like? We got some really cool viewer mail and a cool question. We're also going to talk about the Science March, and we are going to talk about how PhDs are actually given, or like what the process is. Since now that I've done one, I am an expert on it.
Is there a line for it? Can I just get in line? Is it sort of like the new Star Wars movie? You got to line up really early for them? No.
Yeah.
Something a bit more work than that is what I'm getting.
I don't know. I don't know, Marie. I've only done it once. I don't know that much about it. I don't know. It's like, oh God. All right. That's true. It is true. All right. Let's get into this episode. Welcome to the Mad Scientist Roundtable. Tonight's episode number 6. All right, so not this past Saturday, but on Saturday, April 22nd, there was the Science March all over the United States and the world. And since this is a show about science and, how science and technology and politics and like social culture and everything interact, it'd be kind of, a big miss if we didn't talk about it at least a little bit. One interesting thing that we've gotten, though, is we've actually gotten a little bit of pushback from people who I think expect the show to be more about, I guess, ghosts and stuff. You know what I mean? And not so. Like, no, listen.
We'll talk about ghosts.
We're not
putting ghosts out of the pasture.
We're gonna get to the ghosts.
We're gonna get there.
I think people
lots of ghosts.
People want science, and this is true like of all history too. People want like science and stuff to be completely separated from politics, right? Like there's always this like really interesting question where it's like people. So okay, anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So this listener, No, Marie, no!
Can we just make up a name for him?
This listener, who I'm very happy reached out anyways.
Chad.
Whoa!
Chad.
I don't even know Chad. We're just going to use the eponymous Chad. Trey. Trey's a good one.
Trey.
I don't think it was Trey. Trey's a good one.
Trey.
Trey. Okay. Trey, who is a listener of this show, or was a listener of the show, I guess, stopped listening because he felt that we were getting a little bit too political, or stick to the science kind of stuff, and specifically didn't like that. We had talked about how the Trump administration was kind of hurting science, and I even had my aunt's my aunt's boyfriend. We were in the car together. Not even my uncle.
Not even your uncle.
We were in. Not even my uncle. We were in the car. We were in the car listening to one of my episodes with my family. They were visiting, and I had the one part of the Christmas episode where I said that there was far right nationalism was rearing its ugly head, and he basically he literally said, "Oh, fake news." I was like, "Oh my god, dude, come on!" Like, there's a literal fucking Nazi running for president of France. Like, don't give me that shit. You know what I mean? Like, don't give me that shit. All right, it's true.
Yeah.
That is happening. Fucking hell.
Well, I think that suspension of belief is something that, to me, is really curious as well, because what gets me is I could be a Republican. I could be somebody who has fiscally conservative views and moderate views on social issues, which would make me
100%. I'm with you.
In line with Reagan, right? With Reagan, or who is considered the gold standard, right, of the Republican Party. He is the icon of the Republican Party, but what's happening now is not even conservatism. It's not even a conservative movement. It's something that is almost more fringe, and I think that's what I'm taking. I am not a Republican, right. as the listeners may have already guessed. That was a little bit of that was some embellishment to prove a point, but slightly. But I would say, I think you do need a conservative counterpoint, and while you don't always agree with them, I think that it's important to acknowledge that there's the difference, and by acknowledging the differences, that's how you're able to compromise, which is what our country is based on. And what you see happening now is not about compromise; it's about being right. And I think whenever one party or any party, decides to draw the line in the sand and say this is exactly what is right and what is not right, the opposite party, of which right now there's just predominantly two in our country, tends to react the same way. And I think it's unfortunate, but I cannot say that what's happening is not nationalism, because it is. And I think people that are moderate Republicans, or even people that are, even staunch Republicans, can see that happening. And I think if I was a Republican, I'd be pissed. I'd be more pissed than I am now as a Democrat, because that's my party that they're hijacking.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I think the really interesting. So
yes, Ray.
Well, I guess I don't really see the argument I don't see the argument that people make that that this science march, that why are scientists getting involved, right? Why science? Science is supposed to be this pure thing. Well, seriously,
damn it, scientists! Why aren't you just in the lab with your beakers?
People think that they can, on the one hand, attack science and scientists, attacking evolution or teaching creationism in schools, or intelligent design and all this stuff. And we look back at science in the past, and I guess we imagine that these people were perfect, or I don't know, that they were, there's this idea that they were striving for knowledge for knowledge's sake. And while that's true for some people, I mean, it's hard even to find an example, really, because everyone is affected by the politics or the thinking or the religion or whatever, the social stuff of their time. So science is very much a political thing. And especially, so the Science March primarily was to resist the kind of anti-intellectualism that an anti-scientific, anti-science rhetoric and frankly policies and views of the Trump administration as they campaigned and as they have put into place currently. One of the major complaints was that I'm that we're concerned. A lot of scientists are concerned about their friends who are immigrants, right? That they're here in this country, and a huge amount of the graduate student population, a huge amount of scientists are from India, from China, from Pakistan, from Iran, from, other places, and sometimes places that we're not necessarily all that friendly with, and so it's
the list is
right. It could be Australia, next. And it's really I just find it fascinating that people were like, it's not going to affect India, for example, right? But that's not the point. The point is that we're telling people who are trying to come here to learn and work hard and develop our economy and come up with new technologies, we don't want them. Yes. Because we suspect them of doing something bad. It's just crazy. It's nuts. And then even worse. Go ahead. I'm ranting.
No. It's a good rant. It is a very good rant, because I feel like even if they are from a country that we aren't in direct, quote unquote, conflict with, they see what's happening. And Why would you come here? Why would you try and bolster our knowledge, help our economy, help our culture, if basically we want to turn our back on everybody else? And that's not how you gain knowledge. You gain knowledge from inviting as many people in, even if they don't agree with you, even if it's hard, to hear those different opinions and to build from that. Because it's like, if all you have to draw from is the same pool, again, science has already proven that shit doesn't work. Yeah. And I think that's what's so crazy. And I think I will again make reference to a point that they had on Pod Save America, which I hadn't really put my mind around until they vocalized it. Jon Favreau said it perfectly. And when he said, with climate change, we would have a discussion with a conservative party, a Democrat, and we would both acknowledge the fact that climate change exists. And it is scientifically proven and it exists. Now, how I might get there may be very different than how a Republican might try and solve the problem. But we would agree that the science is accurate. He says, when you just fully, head on say, it's not happening, or it's made up by China, or it's a conspiracy theory, it's like all bets are off. Like, there is no equal footing. There's no respect for the fact that science and the facts hold validity. Institutions hold validity. They're put in place to give us the framework that we need to come to conclusions, even if we don't agree on them. And that's what I think is so crazy. It's like, where do you even go with that? Like, how do you even argue with somebody who's like,
right? Nope, no, I don't believe
the polar bears.
I had a really I used to get to this point with, I'm not going to say which relative of mine, but
it was the aunt's boyfriend. Just say, it's not your uncle. He's not your uncle.
They're older. They're an older relative, and we used to get in arguments about climate change all the time. And I would say, I can measure. So for those listening, next episode is going to be on climate change. It's going to be on the science of climate change, why we're sure that it's happening, what are the common arguments against it, all that good sciencey stuff, right? Because that is what my PhD.
Chris and I are going to adopt a couple bullets.
Yeah, exactly. Well, climate change, specifically carbon dioxide capture, was a huge part of my PhD, right? That was the application I aimed for basically all the time, right? So it's something I had to get good at. Arguing against was, just in case I'm at a conference, not that this has ever happened or would ever happen, but, you go to a conference and maybe there's some guy there who says, some person there who just, raises their hand and is like, well, I don't believe climate change is happening. It's like, well, how did you, sir, first off, how did you get in here without a badge? Right?
Sir, yes.
Okay, but that's another thing though, right? Is I think people don't want to get talked down to either, though, right? It's easy to have that knee-jerk joke that, okay, this person's stupid because they don't believe in climate change. But frankly, if you're just a normal person, how the hell are you supposed to know if it's happening or not? You know how, like, you know, I always go back to this scene and It's Always Sunny when Mac is arguing that evolution is not true because science is a liar sometimes, right? And he just goes through the history and he's like, you know, Aristotle looked like a science bitch, right? And like, you know, he's just pointing out like this was false and this was false and this was false, you know, and then you know, it's like if you don't look at the data yourself, how do you know that it's true, right? But anyways,
yes,
it's
no,
just,
this is true, and you can't talk. It's like again, and there's your political argument, right? That's why a lot of the leading Democrats think that this election was lost. We talked down,
right? We
were talking down to the quote unquote the working middle class white vote, and it's like, but at the same time, well, then how do you make these things apparent to everyone? Because I agree, like, how does it affect you? And I think that march, I think that march is an awesome in the humor too. That the march was employing.
Oh, so good.
I think that has a really good. Like I think that like a lot of that is like that's how you start. That's how you see people and you hear what they're saying and you start to think about it for yourself. But it's like, like, am I going to convince Ted Nugent that he should not own a gun? He should, cut his hair, and he should probably, donate to an inconvenient truth. No, probably not. Yeah. But there's some middle ground out there somewhere, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that is a big part of it. Like you want, like, part of the hope of this show is to teach people science by being kind of funny and interesting and weird and spooky and whatever.
And we're getting to the ghosts.
We're getting to the ghosts. Like it's like, you have to almost trick. Like it's the same way with anything, right? Like I wrote a paper in undergrad on this idea that, like, to get economies to do something that is against their economic interests, but is or against their short-term economic interests, but is better for them in the long term, like, for instance, fighting climate change by capturing CO2, what you have to do is kind of sugarcoat the short-term losses, right? You almost have to trick business, because because business is not going to want to do things like, and this is right exactly like what you were saying, this is where a level-headed Republican argument could be made. Okay, we don't want to subsidize carbon dioxide capture, say. We don't think people should be paying for it out of pocket or whatever. Why not then support investment in new technologies like green energy, right? And that's the thing, is that this administration is refusing to do that. They're going for coal.
Which is crazy. Which is crazy.
There are more people in the United States right now who are paid to install solar panels than there are who work in the entire coal industry.
Holy smokes.
There's a huge amount of people working in solar, in wind, in geothermal, in hydroelectric, in nuclear. Like, there's a lot of really good options, and we're just kind of like, nah, we'd like to keep burning the dirty rock, please. That doesn't make sense.
Non-union, that we're going to put people down a hole and just, it helps it works out.
Right.
It works out.
It's like, that's the thing. It's like, if you think about, like, in your mind, think of what a, like, evil boss looks like. It is the guy, there's like three archetypes, right? There's the coal baron who has, like, the big mustache and the top hat and the monocle, and he's wiping his white gloves while he's standing on people covered in soot and coughing up black gunk, right?
Exactly.
You have that guy.
Yes.
You have the, like, Wall Street fat cat, right? And then you have, I don't know, the other evil boss. I said three before I had a full analogy or a full list here.
No, you got it, because it's Donald Trump. It's now the president. Right?
Well, yeah.
You have the inept,
sleazy real estate developer.
The sleazy real estate developer who lives for fame more than anything else.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Anyways, I like here's the thing, right? This is the last thing we're going to say about politics this episode,
Maybe.
although it's not going to be the last thing ever because we can't
I
stop
might just
ourselves.
start. It's almost like Tourette's. I might just start yelling shit. I can't help it, people. And Trey, if you're out
Flat
there,
tax! Flat tax!
Flat tax.
Subsidies!
That's pedal. That's
like
pedal.
it's just look, I was really happy that so many people came out and said paying for scientific research, agreeing with scientific principles, using science to dictate our policy is important to us. That made me feel really good, and I'm super excited that was a thing.
Yes,
that happened.
A national thing, and my favorite sign, which again I think sums everything up, is the sign that said every apocalyptic movie starts with someone ignoring a scientist. And right there, it's like, yep. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much the case. You ignore at your own risk.
I saw one that was just I can't believe I'm fighting for facts.
I'm fighting for facts. I know.
Or something. Yeah. And then I don't know, I can't remember if it was this protest or another one, but I remember I saw a protest sign once that said like I think it just said like, come on, man. It was like not no, that's what it was. It was awesome. It was not usually a protest guy, but geez.
It's perfect.
So good. There's
the geeky ones. It's like, we're lucky. Think about all the ones that had to go to the placebo march or whatever it was, right?
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I was like,
right. Yeah.
Come on, that's some clever shit. They are funny. That's clever shit. That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
here's the thing. The reason why it's important that the government fund research or accept research's findings is that the government provides the vast majority of research funding to the United States. Mm-hmm. Like the vast majority through the NIH or so the National Institutes of Health is NIH, through the Department of Energy, the Department of Defense.
Oh yeah.
Through various grants. Yeah. The states themselves pay a lot of money for research. And you know the reason why it's good, in my opinion, that the government pay for these things is that you get out way more than you put in, right? I mean, new businesses start.
Yes.
New businesses. We get new military technologies that you might not even think of as being new and brought out by research. We get all kinds of really smart people who come to work and learn and live in the United States instead of going to other countries where maybe they don't want to do as well for us as they would working for us, you know? So there's a huge amount of benefits to science being funded by the government. And there's a lot of threat to that funding. The EPA has been cut, which is really bad.
Terrifying.
Trump proposed to cut the I think it was the NIH, the National Institutes of Health budget by 30%. And then Congress instead gave it another couple $2 billion. So in that case, good job, Paul Ryan. Nice, good job, guy. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like people, you know, I mean, before this, I was pretty relatively conservative. Not conservative. That's the wrong word. I was like, I guess, libertarian. New Hampshire libertarian.
Did you have your Ayn Rand?
I don't know, like
the Fountainhead tucked under your dog?
No. Nothing like that. But like I don't know. Like I guess it's I don't know. I'm not really libertarian. I guess
I'm just
like
teasing.
The New Hampshire style.
Live free or die.
Style kind of like. Right, yeah, like live free or die, right? Like you can not wear a helmet on your motorcycle so long as your brains don't hit my face. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like really, like I don't know, like yeah, I said like a bajillion times in that take, so whatever. Keeping it in, I don't care. It's just keeping it. Thank you, John Lovett. Listen, all right, John Lovett.
Love him.
You guys, if you guys are listening to this show right now, which you're not,
like
but if you are,
somehow ends up in a time capsule and it's being, you know, force fed into John Lovett's brain in like, you know, 7 million years in the future. Love you guys. Yeah, look, I've got plenty of scientific puns with pod in the name. And he's a doctor. That we can make a show on. Okay. And he's a doctor, y'all. Anyways, it's
Anyways, the Science March was really important. I think it's totally part of modern science. It's something that had to happen, and I'm pretty excited. I hope that positive things happen because of it.
My little 2 cents on it is science. It embodies all the things that I think patriotism and America are about. Like, it is about verifying, having an idea, being able to put that idea out there, test the idea, find its mettle, find its worth, and validate it. And I feel like we should not only can you make money off of science, as you know, Elon Musk has proven, but it's important, and it's important to growth, and it's important to engagement in education, and it's vital, and it's vital to I think to who America is. And that's what sort of turns me off about the administration is it's like, and the funny thing too is my final word on it is it can live in the same space as religion. These two things can have
Absolutely.
You know, they don't have to always agree, and people don't always have to see eye to eye, but that doesn't mean that these two things can't exist in America and cohabitate and have
Absolutely
equal time and equal space. And that's what I think is kind of crazy with what's happening. Yes.
All right, section 2 now. So one really interesting thing that I think is like super interesting with a politics thing that always keeps coming up again. Sorry, we keep talking about politics. We should just like make a new, I don't know, we should just make like a politics podcast, Marie.
We should see what the copyright is on Science Saves America and just try to start stealing that shit and just kind of like see how much market share we could walk away with within like 2 weeks. And then the cease and desist letter comes in, and we're all like, "Fuck no!"
I know. We keep getting it's like really dweeby, but I keep tweeting at John Lovett different titles for science podcasts that have pod in the name to fit in the Crooked Media Empire. I'm like, yo, the pod particle, all right, the two potty problem, all right. Pod is a clockmaker. Okay, we got so many good, there's that's all of them, I think. But still, three solid options.
3 solid tweets, people.
What'd
you get? Did Lovett give you any love back? No.
No, of course not. So I've only sent one so far. I just keep tweeting him and be like, hey, you guys need a doctor of chemical engineering.
Science saves America. Telling you.
All right. So
and then we get some of that sweet Blue Apron money.
Finally, Jesus. So one thing that people always say is, you're not like the real America. Like, where is the real America? What? And by that I mean, what is the average America? Yes. Right? Because people argue we are just East Coast, West Coast liberals,
coastal elites,
right, Marie?
Coastal elites.
I mean, I'm here in New Hampshire with my flannel and my beard,
your beard and your Bernie loving ways,
and my high income, low tax lifestyle.
Exactly.
And you're out there in Cali,
in the Bay Area, just living off that crazy ass tech money, that Google money. Got that mad Google money. Somewhere. I don't have it, but the Google buses,
during the day,
Google buses coding and stuff. Yes, that mad stuff.
I think it's a really interesting question because I think people when they come to America from other countries, they think that it'll be like the old West almost. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like my family's immigrants, mm-hmm. and I know my uncle had a really interesting story. He, when he was back in Italy, he always read about these fruits that he didn't know what they were, but he had an idea of what they kind of looked like.
Oh.
And one of them were strawberries and blueberries. He didn't eat one until he got to America.
Seriously? They don't have strawberries and blueberries in Italy?
They didn't in like the 40s and 50s and
that
60s.
makes sense. It was a tough place.
And then
50s, yes.
And then my mom even has a story about like desperately wanting to try a banana because they were like super expensive in their town, right? They were like, it was like, $10 American dollars for one friggin' banana, and so we were making like a strawberry lemonade, and he was like, I didn't try a strawberry until I was like 35.
Holy shit.
Like, what?
That's insanity.
Fucking crazy. Anyways, so I just think it's interesting to see who is the average American.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, looked up some stats, Marie.
Hit me.
Are you ready for this?
Ready.
All right.
Ready.
The average American is a 38-year-old white female living in the western part of the United States, specifically one of the states of Arkansas, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, New Mexico, Idaho, Montana, or Wyoming.
Okay.
They have private health insurance.
Okay.
Their median household income is $75,000 per household per year.
Wow.
So, and that's in a 2-person. So that's like the average household, but that's with both people working.
Right.
They work. Our average American, who we will call Desdemona.
We're gonna call her Desdemona.
Desdemona works in the civilian labor force as a like educational services, healthcare, or social assistance kind of thing.
Wow.
Right? Or she might be in management, business, science, or the arts, but still in one of those roles within education or healthcare. Those are like the most common.
And I do gotta give
Desdemona
a shout out. Desdemona is also making, 30% less in those fields than her male coworkers.
Yes.
On average.
Yes, on average.
Yes.
Now, Desdemona drives alone to work.
Yes, which is crazy, right? Because she has to commute.
Crazy.
She has to commute, right? She's the places she's going. There's probably not a huge amount. Well, there's probably public transportation.
But that's the thing I was thinking was, again, coastal elites.
Yes.
We have the golden subways to ride on, Marie.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I was really interested, like where I am now, there is no public transport. You know what I mean? If you don't make enough to have a car, you're walking to work, which means you're working at Walmart or McDonald's here.
Yeah. Yeah. Here we have pretty good, even though it is I have fault with it, but it is pretty good. Multiple different lines of public transportation that, again, infrastructure wise dearly needs some help, but still it's something.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely something. And it is an alternative to driving. Man, she's driving one car. How many cars does the family own? Did you find that out?
That is actually a really good question. I did not find out, but on average, she drives alone to work. So I'd imagine her husband or significant other must have another car.
Oh, yes.
Or a bike or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would say so.
So Desdemona believes in evolution. And she never finished college, but she may owe money to college.
I believe that. I fucking believe that.
And she finished high school.
Man, isn't that the kick in the ass?
So it's actually really interesting. It's really, really the average for never finishing college is really high. Like, people that don't have a bachelor's degree is way more than I would have imagined. I think just given my upbringing and my family and whatever, my area that I'm in, right? I'm in academics.
Right.
So it's like, you know what I mean? Everyone I know has this freaking bachelor's. But it's actually really high. Like 70% of people don't have a bachelor's degree.
Interestingly, so as I'm from Colorado, I am the first child in my dad's family, on my dad's side, to go to college. So all of his family, I'm the first person to go to school and to graduate from school, from a
That's awesome.
degree. Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God, we should be called Desdemona. Should be called
sorta.
Marie.
But again,
Oh
I
my
got the fuck out
God,
of there, man. I got it's nothing. You know
Marie,
what? Nothing against Colorado. Fucking go Rockies. But yeah, I will say that and again, that is a holdover from another average American, another average American family. It was my father is the eldest of 5. Served in the military. He has one kid, but down the road, his family, his brothers and sisters have multiple children. But on his side of the family, yep, I was the first one to go to school for the 4-year degree.
Wow.
But yeah,
it's cool.
It's interesting, and I think statistically, it probably nets out that's probably indicative. Like you're saying, it's like now you're getting to the point where, and thank God, like when I went to school, it was some steep student loans, but nothing like it is now. Nothing like the debt.
Oh, it's fucking killer.
The debt that's coming out of but that's a lot in coming out of this.
When I graduated, I got a nice present of minus $30,000 or some crap like that from undergrad.
Jeez, man.
Yeah. Anyways, so okay. Here we're gonna get into some pretty dark stuff.
Is it ghosts?
Okay.
I have some ghost stats.
Let's just wait. Let's just wait. I don't. So listeners, this is a warning to you. Okay. This might get ugly.
Crap.
Are Desdemona's favorite ice cream?
Fuck.
Is either chocolate or vanilla. Okay. 50%, approximately 50% of the population has their favorite ice cream as one of those two. 8% is strawberry.
Just 8%. Huh.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder, what are those other ice cream flavors? I guess pistachio, right?
You got your sherbets, right? You've got your frozen yogurt, maybe.
Oh my God! Wait, no, Marie, wait.
What?
This is important.
God. Well,
this is important.
Yeah, it is. Go, doctor.
How do you spell the word sherbet?
All right, people. This makes for some really excellent radio. Is me.
How do you spell the word sherbet?
H-E-R-B-E-T-R. Sherbet.
No, not T-R-R-T.
Yes, yeah, R-T. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That is wrong.
Well,
it's actually the word is actually sherbet.
Sherbet?
Sherbet. S-H-E-R-B-E-T is the word.
Oh, with no R.
Yeah. It's got no R.
So do you say sherbet? You don't say sherbet.
Well, that's the thing. I looked it up because the other day. Yeah.
Is there a backstory?
I said because
yes, I woke up at 3 a.m. and it was burning in my head. Okay, no God.
Yeah. So the other day I bought some rainbow sherbet from the store because I haven't had it in a while and I was craving it. And so I was whatever on Snapchat with Katie. And I sent her a picture of me eating the ice cream and I was like, oh, I got sherbet. And she's like, you got what? So she is like, no, we're arguing now, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, Google it. So I Googled it. Sherbet is a common enough mispronunciation that they accepted.
Really? So what Oxford English has decided to rope this one in? They're like, we'll let it go.
Yeah.
We'll let it go.
Oh, yeah. We just willed ourselves a new word. Because so many people were like, it's sherbet.
Well, if it was if you pronounced it like Colbert, it would be sherbet, which would be pretty good too. I think I'll have some sherbet, some rainbow flavored sherbet.
Isn't that weird?
That's kind of crazy.
Oh my God.
That's a little.
It was so weird. I then spent the whole night reading about sorbet and sherbet and the difference. And
dude,
oh God,
rabbit hole.
Anyways, this is so the other interesting factoid that I pulled up about Desdemona here. Her favorite 3 TV shows.
I want to see if I can guess. Oh,
Try to
man.
guess.
I want to say Big Bang Theory just because that's fucking on every
Yes.
channel, right? Right.
That
Okay.
is one of the
Big
top
Bang.
3.
I want to say it's going to be a crime procedural because the ladies love the crime procedurals. Right?
Okay, which one?
I would say Bones, but that's a little fringe. It's a little dark. It's going to be
No,
CSI.
not
It's going to be
Bones.
CSI Family, maybe.
You're close.
Yes.
NCIS.
Which I have never fucking seen. I've never fucking
Me
seen
neither.
that.
Me neither. I've never seen any of these top 3.
What is the NCIS? What is that? Like,
I think it's like Naval Command Investigative Services
no,
or
it's
something.
NCIS.
No, they're like the cops of the sea. I think that is what it is.
Cops of the sea who go after pirates. You're like,
crook.
Captain.
No.
Yes, and
Yeah, Naval Criminal Investigative Service.
they're the cops of the sea, which would actually
which
be a better
investigates
show.
crimes involving the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps. Yeah.
So that's one of her favorite shows, man. I would have gone with Bones, but that again, it gets a little gruesome, gets a little dark, and it doesn't have that. It doesn't have that, that Mark Hamill or whatever his name is, right? The main guy who's got to be the draw. I can't even remember who's the dude's name. Like the main guy. He's got to be in his 80s now.
NCIS?
He's got to be. He's seriously old.
Marie, I didn't even know what NCIS stood for. I had no fucking idea.
We gotta, okay, what's the third? It's got to be.
Oh, Mark Harmon.
Mark Harmon. There it is. He's like 175. Seriously, he's been around for fucking ever. All right.
He is.
Props to him and his people, keeping him fresh, looking young.
He is 65 years old.
She's looking pretty good for that. Looking
really good.
So
Pretty
third
good.
one, comedy. Was it? I don't know. I'm throwing it. I had my my police procedural because again, ladies love the procedurals, and Big Bang, which has got to be on everybody's. Like, you have any kind of bell curve, it's right in the middle.
Yeah, it's the next one is Scandal.
Wow, shit, seriously?
Which is a political thriller,
Yes.
I guess.
Yes. Which is,
Yeah, I've never seen that one either.
I watched season 1 and then I was like,
Yeah. So here's the thing. So okay, Big Bang Theory, Marie. Not a fan.
Really? Now, see, this is what my question was, because the rest of the world is like, you quirky scientists. You funny quirky
God.
scientists.
It's so bad, Marie.
But they're doctors.
He's like, yeah, but their doctors have made up bull crap.
Really?
I mean,
Not bad, huh?
first off, he's living in like a huge yeah, because it's all like, I mean, this is the thing with TV, right? Whenever they have, besides Breaking Bad science was fucking phenomenal.
Very good. Yes.
Because they had someone from the American Chemical Society consult on the science for that series.
Yes.
So it's all like up to snuff, right?
So you're telling me Dr. Sheldon Cooper's not legit? Is that what you're gonna break America's heart with that?
No.
Okay, Trey, you're gonna get more angry letters about that than about us bashing Trump. I'm just teasing.
Based on the crap squiggles that he writes on his board, he doesn't know what an integral is. Okay, Marie. It is really funny because I think it's like I think it kind of does something. It does a little bit of a disservice to people that have like autism.
Yes.
Right? Because they always show these like characters that have like negative they always make it seem that like every smart person on TV is like borderline autism spectrum or right in it. Like it, first off, it cheapens the struggle that someone with autism, kind of has to go through to like, like work in the world with everyone else or whatever. Right.
I agree with that.
But then at the same time, it also like makes it out like there aren't some fucking like suave ass scientists.
You're like, the bigger insult, my friend.
It makes us all look like a bunch of fucking nerds, Marie. And we're not nerds. Come on.
It's that there's not some suave-ass scientists out, because there are. Well,
all right,
I would also say point 3, right after suave-ass scientists, it is again this sort of non-political, safe science, right? I mean, you're watching this show and you're not threatened or you're not questioning any of the science that they're putting out there, and that I think is problematic in a lot of ways, because you never have to take a stand one way or the other, and it's very light and it's very accessible, as science should be on some level, right? But at the same time, it's sort of also very sugar-coated.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyways, I resent that show just because it makes people think that I work on toilets or whatever.
On space toilets.
There was some episode, I don't know. There was something with space toilets, and now it's like, no, damn it. Come on, guys.
No, so I started, when I watched it early on, like before syndication and stuff, I was like, I was sort of heartened in some way, because I'm like, at least, okay, here's a show that is somewhat different, that's trying this different approach. But then after a while, I'm like, damn, I mean, it's funny and shit, but like only to a certain extent. And then, they live in Pasadena.
I think the thing is, too.
So they live in Pasadena, and they've got this nice apartment, and they got some sweet shit. Like, they've got some really nice places to live and stuff. And I don't think that's, like, I've got beef with that. Just like, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, and I mean, whatever. Like, it's become a very easy, like, attacking point online or whatever, because it's like, that's not real. Like the whole idea of there being like nerd culture or like, I don't know, all of that. I'm just always like, what? Like, come on, man. Like,
suave-ass motherfuckers
like people
out there. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
We're so goddamn suave. We're all so suave.
Neil deGrasse Tyson he's money.
He's very
money.
suave.
He's smooth. I mean that seriously. Anyways.
All right. He is.
Here's some other facts about Desdemona that I actually did check on as well.
Go ahead.
That do fit in with her. The average American woman, so Desdemona, owns 30 outfits, one for every day of the month. Comparative to 1930, that figure was 9. So consumer-wise, there's sort of more personal acquisition. Same, the average American family, so Desdemona, significant other, I'm assuming she probably has like 2 point something in kids, spends $1,700 on clothes annually.
Jesus.
And throws away 65 pounds of clothes per year.
What? Now that is surprising to me. Now, what do they count as throwing away?
I would assume it's, and again, I'm going to make assumptions so I don't have to open up another tab because I'm a lazy motherfucker. But I'm assuming they're going to give it away, or they've outgrown it.
Okay, I was going to say, like,
they are
I don't think
accessing. But this is the average American family. So if you think about, like, okay, it's her, it's 2 kids, it's. I'm thinking about, you go through a lot of stuff, but I think the thing that I found interesting about the stats that I was reading about, because again, they're very similar to what you're finding, was just the amount of shit and acquisition that you have as you get as you get older and as you sort of acquire. There are 300,000 items in the average American family's home. 300,000 individual items. And I'm like, fuck that's yeah, crazy. Man, that's my daughter's room alone.
Right? Well, that's really interesting.
Right?
Wow.
And we'll put these all in the show notes just in case anybody's like, she's sitting there making up stuff. Okay, so
the average American woman owns 7 skadoodles.
You know what? 27 cars,
she drinks 15 gallons of honey a year. Yeah, That's
And
crazy.
here's another one that is actually near and dear to my heart because I do think it's pretty interesting. Average 10-year-old owns 238 toys, but only plays with 12 of them on a daily basis.
238 toys.
238 items, toys. And I'm like, yep, little bits of plastic shit. That's
yeah.
my daughter.
Oh my God.
My daughter has, yes, and she will play with, but she will play with only 12. That's what they're saying here. Only 12 in a day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think absolutely.
But I mean,
that's
I
really
thought
interesting.
that was sort of like, again, just sort of giving an additional layer to the fact that, she's driving, she's got to drive X amount to work, but the acquisition,
she's buying a
shitload of stuff, and they're not saving a lot of money, which again, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, but she's not, hate to bring it down a little bit more, they're not like over, like where's I'm trying to find my stats here, man, like they don't save. Nearly half American households don't save money. They don't actively save. They're living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, I bet. No, yeah.
And that is like,
well, you know what?
That's fucked up. That's hard.
Well, I think, yeah, man. I mean, I think it has to, I mean, it's really hard when you look at the cost of, like, the cost of living in some places. Like, where Desdemona lives, the cost of living is going to be super high. But it's always pretty commensurate with what you make usually. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, so their family total makes $75,000 a year, right? That means that they are making about $4,000 a month.
Yep.
Right? So think probably half of that goes to rent
or mortgage. Yes, exactly.
If not more.
Yeah.
If not more. I mean, they we're saying 2-person with 2 cars probably. It's crazy. That's crazy.
And education.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, and the thing, well, you know what I think that was something that really struck me was the average person works in education or healthcare. It's like such a huge part of our economy. Healthcare and
education. It's like the
education. We didn't even realize it, but
we're gonna keep you. We're gonna keep you learned. We're gonna teach you what you need to know, and we're gonna keep you healthy. Like that's it. Like if there's no other 2 things out there that America needs and should be compensating better, are the people that are teaching us,
absolutely
teaching us how to think and making sure that we don't fucking fall off a cliff, right?
Die.
Shit. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy. But you know what? By all means,
man.
Goldman Sachs, they deserve it too. They deserve all that as well. Yeah. Yeah, that was for Trey. And just as a final, I'm just gonna give this poor fictional dude, our average male, our average disgruntled. I take umbrage with you, sir, fellas. Trey, that was my last shout out to him. But just one more fact. Here's a good one. 40% of Americans believe in ghosts.
Yeah, 40%. Good news for us.
I would think that, like,
good news. We're investing in a growing market,
shit, my friend. Not so much as I would say that, like, that percentage has probably been bumped up quite a bit by Forrest Burgess, Podfather Forrest Burgess.
the
Forrest effect.
Forrest effect.
Forrest effect.
Scott and Forrest.
It's just
oh boy,
scaring each other.
Cool. Spooking us into the future.
41.5%. Okay.
Nice.
Yes.
All right. So, let's go to section 3, I guess.
Section 3.
Viewer mail and
Yeah.
Kessel Run?
Viewer mail.
Cool.
We've got some viewer mail.
Viewer mail. We got really good. Whoa. There we go.
Huh.
See, suave science. That's what I'm talking about, Marie. We got suave science. We got some really awesome viewer mail this week from Mrs. Sawbones. Which is her name.
Sawbones.
Oh, it's so badass. She's super
badass.
cool. So,
Yeah, she's got a name like Mrs. Sawbones.
Yeah, it's so cool. So it's like really, really awesome postcard envelope art. It's really cool. This one is this one has Edgar Allan Poe and ravens and stuff and the moon. Oh, it's so sweet and like skeletons all over it. It's super badass. So thank you so much for the art. I'm gonna put the picture of it up on the website. Probably with my address blurred out. But if you have any art or mail or anything, whatever you'd like to send us, please do. That'd be really cool. We would love to get it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, Edgar Allan Poe. Was there any particular reason she went with Edgar Allan Poe, or she
asked me what I liked, and I said spooky stuff.
Spooky. You know what? Edgar Allan Poe. Top spooky.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's super cool. So I'm really excited about it.
The only thing that would make that cooler if she was Dr. Sawbones.
Dr. Sawbones.
I think that would be pretty good too.
Well,
that's awesome.
Give her time.
She could just throw that on there too.
We don't know. We don't know.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool. All right, so the next question we had was actually a question Marie thought of.
It was, and this is, I'm taking this as, again, a Star Wars fan myself. This is a pretty common discussion, but it is fairly, I would say, science-y. It's not actually got any scientific principles that are based in reality, but I'm going with it, which is Han Solo has always made the claim that his beloved ship, the Millennium Falcon, made the Kessel Run in not 14, but 12 parsecs. However, parsec is not a measure of distance or time, right? It's a measure of distance.
Yes.
So how is this possible? Because basically, you measure how fast you go by time. So how is it that this claim holds any validity in the Star Wars universe or in ours? Because a parsec is a real thing. I haven't Googled Kessel, which was my only homework for this episode.
Damn it, Marie! Yeah, I also didn't Google Kessel though. I think it's just supposed to be like a
the Kessel Run.
Yeah,
there's some good for the viewers. You've got some serious fanatics out there. What the fuck was the Kessel Run? And why was 14 so bad? But clearly it was not accurate. And the Falcon can do much better, even though she's,
So
seen better days.
I think, as far as I know, the Kessel Run was like a star route, very famous for smugglers.
Smugglers, okay.
Is what it was. It's like a smuggling route, right?
Okay, yes.
Okay. So the question is, how could a parsec be how could it be a measure of distance and not time? Right. So I did it in 12 parsecs. Mm-hmm. Suggests that it is time, but actually what he's saying is that he did it in less distance than other people did. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So, what a parsec? So, okay, first off, a parsec is equivalent.
I have no idea, but yes.
Okay, a parsec is equal to 3.26 light years. Okay, which is equal to 3.09 times 10 to the 13th kilometers. So, a light year basically is the time it takes a photon of light to travel a year. So it's moving at the speed of light, right?
Right.
So so light always travels at the speed of light, which is 299,792,458 meters per second. Okay, which is equal to 186,000 miles per second.
I just wrapped my head around Sherbert, so keep going. Yes.
Yeah, I know. Or 671 million miles per hour. Okay?
Right.
So that means that the Millennium Falcon traveled basically 39.12 light years at the speed of faster than the speed of light.
Yeah.
They don't give actually a measure of time that it takes them, right?
No.
He says, I traveled 12 parsecs, did the Kessel run in 12 parsecs.
Right.
So what that suggests is they are breaking into hyperspace somehow, and then he is making the distance between 39.12 light years. So you start at point A, and then the next point B is 39.12 light years away. He was able to make that trip in he was able to make the Kessel run in only 39.12 light years of distance.
Yes.
Whereas other people did it
and space.
Yes, whereas other people did it in 14 parsecs.
Or whatever, you got your freighters, you got your whatever. It's going to take more parsecs.
Yeah. So, I've also read. So I actually read that the Millennium Falcon's top speed is 25,000 light years per day.
Damn, yo.
Okay. So the ship can travel 0.5 past light speed.
My goodness, she can haul.
So it's going faster. It's going faster than light speed, I guess. Which is impossible.
Yeah, I was gonna put, but you know what? It's a galaxy far, far away, my friend. That shit could happen. That shit could happen. And you know what? We also, it's not just Han Solo. He has a co-pilot. He has a partner to help him with that ship. Chewbacca. So it's like you got to give it up for both of them. I was just my shout out for Chewbacca. Not that he can. Not that Wookiees actually have the formula for beating light speed, although they might. I don't know.
Right, they might.
They might.
So the interesting thing then, right, is that okay. So we're basically saying that the Millennium Falcon is able to break into some other dimension or something, like basically like a wormhole, and then travel the equivalent distance of the Kessel run in only 39.12 light years. So at its max speed, it's traveling at 1.5 the speed of light. So 39.12 light years would suggest that they are moving, like 1.5 or 0.5 less than that. So was it going to be like 39.12? So hold on.
And besides Pod Save America, you should be
26.08.
You should be twittering to like George Lucas, J.J. Abrams, Ryan Johnson, whoever's the new director for, getting some science credit up on the new movies, man. Because they probably need people. They need to figure this stuff out. I'm sure somewhere down the road they had all this stuff mapped out. I'm just saying, it could be a good gig.
Yeah.
Lucrative.
You know what? You never know. So this thing, so now we're on Wikipedia. Mm-hmm. Now we're on Wikipedia. Okay, the most important thing.
Yes.
The Kessel run.
Mm-hmm.
Aha!
Oh,
God.
Mm-hmm.
This is how he did it. Okay. So when you get towards light speed, right, what happens is your mass gets extremely... Your mass increases exponentially as you get closer and closer to light speed, right? So as you hurtle towards the speed of light, you basically get super, super, super massive, right? And so on the other hand, what this means is that as things get really, really massive, or rather, let's rephrase this. As you get closer to the speed of light, or as you get closer to the center of a black hole, weird things start to happen with mass and with distance and with time, right?
Yes.
So as you get towards a black hole, your apparent time for you will actually move quicker, or rather slower than the apparent time away from the black hole. So the famous example of this is called the twin problem, and basically it's like you have a twin on Earth, and then you shoot a twin off into space, and after the spaceship, the twin that was in the spaceship will actually be a little bit younger than the twin that was on Earth. Mm-hmm. Because they moved at quick enough for long enough that it made some apparent difference. A really good example of this is that movie Interstellar, where as they get closer to the black holes, time around them, I think it's something like every 5 minutes they spend near and time in the black hole is a year on Earth, say, right? And the reason is that the gravitational field of the black hole is so great that it causes time dilations, right? Just the mass of the thing causes time dilation. We're also assuming
that the ship and its occupants would survive.
Yeah. So this suggests that
Wookiee technology.
Yeah, so this suggests that Han Solo moved near black holes to get this distance shorter.
So he kind of
than other people
boomerang.
did.
He did like a boomerang effect off of them.
Exactly, yeah.
Interesting. Oh, Han Solo. I'm telling you what. I still don't fully understand it, but I love the fact that they still use that reference. And I was always sort of like, well, why is that such a big deal? Now...
Yeah, here's the thing. Okay, here's something from Wikipedia. A New Hope mess up? ? In Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, Han Solo boasted about the speed of his spaceship by claiming it made the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs, despite a parsec being a unit of distance.
Right.
In the novelization, he said less than 12 standard time parts. Aha! Screenwriter George Lucas claimed the seeming gaffe in the film was intentional. Oh, so it's supposed to be bullshit, Marie.
What? Are you telling me the Force? Bullshitting. The Force is bullshit?
No, Han is bullshitting them.
He's bullshitting them? He can't be bullshitting them.
But then later on, later on they tried to retcon this, and they said that within the expanded universe, Kevin J. Anderson later retconned an explanation. The Kessel Run is through the Maw. I don't even know what the Maw is. Oh god, this is going to take forever. Event horizons around black holes are dependent on the speed at which you are traveling. A standard ship has to do the run in 18 parsecs because to cut the route any closer, the ship would get sucked in. The Falcon, however, is fast enough to straighten the route and cut over 6 parsecs off the distance traveled. Aha!
Okay.
Weird. So,
you know what?
A little bit of a question still.
I'm summing it up as the Force.
The Force. Here's an interesting thing, though. 12 parsecs is 2.3 times 10 to the 14 miles of total distance. It is, let's see. Let me count my numbers here. That's there. About 9 billion times around the circumference of the Earth. But the problem is they don't give a time, right?
Yeah.
So, distance is meaningless without time. So, okay, you did it in 12 parts. That's like saying,
it could have taken his entire life to do it.
Yeah, it'd be like you have a really curvy road, and that road total distance is 18 miles, and you're like, yeah, well, I did it in 12 by just not going around the curves. You just drive straight, right?
Straight, yes.
Okay, but the guy on the road is still going quicker because he's not having to drive through trees and shit, right? Okay, so it's meaningless without the time part. I think.
So you're telling me that Han Solo, hero of the rebellion,
is a liar sometimes.
He's a bullshitter. Oh man, no wonder Leia loved him so much, man. That is my favorite part of Empire is when she looks at him and he's going into the carbonite. He's headed in and she's like, Han, I love you. And he's all like a stone cold pimp. He's all like, I know. It's like, oh,
oof.
There's a scientist right there. There's some suave science shit right there, my man. That's good.
Wow.
That's some good shit.
Real talk. Real talk. All right.
Real talk.
Marie, I think we've recorded a lot. We've actually done an hour and 15 minutes.
Let's save MacGuffins. Should we do a sign out?
HDs and MacGuffins. Let's save them. Yes. Let's do the sign out. So that is it for this week's Roundtable. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back in 2 weeks with another Roundtable, and I will be back in 1 week with a full episode on climate change.
Bum, bum, bum. Is it real? Does it really exist?
It is
a conspiracy
super real
by China?
Look, let's cut this. Let's just get it out of the way now.
Spoiler.
It is real.
Yeah. Cliff notes. It's real. It's real.
And already messing stuff up.
I am not Dr.
I am your host.
I am not Dr. Marie Mayhew.
I am your host, Chris Cogswell, and I am joined by Marie Mayhew.
Yes, non-doctor affiliation at this point. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.